And I don't think I have a hard copy of this one anymore.
Maybe I have to send it to you.
Another day.
It's a,
You don't have to do it now. I just mean eventually.
heart-shaped box in an Australian accent. Our last song for the night is a cover. I hope you don't mind. The low, slow opening guitar chords were familiar, but I couldn't seem to remember the artist. Suddenly I realized it was Nirvana, heart-shaped box. So for the first time that evening, I staggered to my feet and hobbled to the middle of the completely empty dance floor to dance. Life at the time of the COVID-19 virus plague 2020. Something that could be written by a Daniel Defoe or a Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Boccaccio, Edgar Allan Poe, instead of a bubonic plague or cholera or the Red Death. It is now the Nova coronavirus, which has suddenly, slowly become the great level of our society in the second millennium. New York celebrities flee the city for the perceived safety of the Long Island Hamptons in the off-season, to hunker down, shelter in place, to wait out the days, weeks, months. The death toll rising just as the Tuscan Italian noblemen and ladies fled Florence for the perceived safety of their mountaintop villas 700 years earlier, to wait out God's scourge of the plague, exchanging their bawdy, ribald folk stories and erotic tales of ancient chivalry, which have become the volume of the Decameron. But just as death follows the knights and lords to pose mask of the Red Death, there will be no escaping the coronavirus of 2020. There is an invisible target in the back of my head, and the sniper is the COVID-19 virus, and it has me in its telescopic sight, ready to pull the trigger. I fit the demographic, I fit the description, and detective death as a mugshot with my mug on it. I've dodged one bullet too many. My number is up. I'm way past my expiration date. So I'm very fatalistic about my chances for surviving this pandemic. Some people are guaranteed to die, and I'm a walking, breathing statistic. So I've gone around making my rounds among those who really matter to me, saying my goodbyes, making my peace, telling people that I love them, that I'll miss them when I'm gone. Most shrug it off. Ah, of course I love you, Big Mike. I know you love me. You'll be all right. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Some take me more seriously. My second ex-wife, who I currently live with, recently lost her mother, so she went upstate to Rockland County with her younger sister last week to care for her very elderly, very frail, recently bereaved father. She did not return. I'm not coming back. I'm going to stay up here for another week or so. Help my father out. He's a lot worse than I thought, physically and mentally. He'll be 97 next month. When are you coming back? Another week? Maybe two? Maybe more? Maybe I should just hunker down here with my sister and father, shelter in place? You can do that down here. Yeah, but it's easy to do it here. You're over 65. You have pre-existing medical conditions, underlying medical conditions. You're right for coming down with the coronavirus. You've got bad lungs. I don't want to infect you. I don't want to see you die. Are you afraid of infecting me, or are you afraid of me infecting you? A little of both. I just got over the flu. They tested me for influenza B, and it came back positive. I had a fever last week. I was coughing my head off again. Maybe I already have the virus. So I'm staying up here for a couple of weeks, maybe longer, maybe until this whole thing just blows over. She was always afraid of dying obsessively so it's no surprise that this whole pandemic thing has really got her going. Me, I've lived with death for so long, it's like a second nature to me now. I've placed scores of my patients in body bags over the 40 years working as a registered nurse all over New York. Patients who was talking to 1 minute and inhaling their last, final exhale breath the next. Most people are 90% sure of their own mortality. I am 100% sure. So I decided to go out in the town last weekend, perhaps the last weekend out of my life, perhaps the last weekend out for the entire New York City. Turns out I was much more prescient than I ever imagined. Irresponsible of me? Undoubtedly so, yes. But I am going to die anyway. What else can they possibly do to me? Driving down these empty city streets from inside a disabled, accessible taxi cab, looking out the window onto a completely, totally deserted Houston Street, I slowly come to realize that the long-awaited zombie apocalypse we were promised for so many years by all those alien research lunatic fringe head cases, those fire and brimstone spewing southern cracker preachers on late night AM radio, has finally arrived. Downtown Manhattan looks as though it's been hit by a Soviet-fired neutron dirty bomb. All the people have been killed by deadly radiation, but all the buildings remain intact. Drive past the Pyramid Club on Avenue A, but it's shuttered. No Thursday night goth night? No black leather and lace-clad moping goth kids tonight? What gives? A handwritten notice taped to the wrought iron grillwork. In accordance with the recently enacted regulations concerning large crowds, the Pyramid Club will remain closed until further notice. Thank you to all our loyal customers over the years, Maria. Maybe I'll just have to settle for a late night takeout menu of grilled American cheese on rye with French fries to go from the Waverly Diner on 6th Avenue. But at the last moment, I decide to head to the Bowery at East 2nd Street. The Bowery Electric, at least the DJ in the bar lounge there, spins some good old rock and roll R&B and hardcore punk on his turntable. The DJ is outside in front of the club, smoking a cigarette and chatting up some punk girl in a black leather miniskirt and platform sole thigh-high black fetish boots. He throws me a high five. Hey, no more high fives, man. Now forearm bashes only. And absolutely, positively, categorically, no anal. I will try my best to restrain myself. We have 2 floors of bands tonight, downstairs and on this floor in the map room. You're also free to have a drink at the bar on this floor. $10. It's the annual New Colossus Fest, referring to the Statue of Liberty's Emma Lazarus dedication poem. Garage bands from across the erstwhile far-flung British Empire, Canada, Australia, UK, Hong Kong, New Zealand, even Sweden, ranging in quality from the less than mediocre to the exquisitely shitty. In all, the New Colossus Fest was a colossus waste of my time, money, and energy. If the bands really suck, I mean really, really suck, do I get my money back? No. Another Australian accent. Just wait till the bad Jaguar Jones come on stage, mate. They really rock. Great big fat white guy with a great big fat gut, long gray hair, and a long white beard. Kind of looks like Big fucking Mike. Must be one of the band members' fathers. Big Mike, you're here. Now I know this has got to be the place to be. I was just over at the Delancey, but the band I wanted to see there canceled. So I went over to Rockwood Hall, but the bands there had all canceled too. Even at Parkside Lounge, they canceled there too. The Murphy Lounge is shut. So I came over here, the last place open on the face of the earth. You know, I only wish I knew who he was. That facial recognition disorder of mine, which I share with Hollywood heartthrob Brad Pitt, is kicking up against something fierce. He obviously knows who I am. He knows me by name. I have absolutely no fucking idea who he is. He is wearing an official hard plastic press pass around his neck, hanging from a lanyard. He's got a Leica digital camera, and he's taking a bunch of photos of the band, so he must be somebody important. But just who is he? I don't know. Jaguar Jones takes the stage. They're merely less than mediocre. 6-foot-tall, anorectic, emo goth girl, lead singer, plays the flute like Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull, backed up by an Aussie metal band. Great cheekbones, twin braided pigtails adorned with fur pom-poms like a Nordic warrior princess, nice long legs, and black hot pants. Tolerable singer. Australian accent again. Our last song for the night is a cover. I hope you don't mind. The band backs her up with the familiar opening guitar chords of Nirvana's heart-shaped box. Big Mike gets off his ass for the first time that night, drags himself up into the erect position, hobbles to the middle of the completely empty dance floor, and starts head-banging away to the cover band's Kurt Cobain grunge rock guitar riffs. And then, and then the miracle manifested itself, right smack in the middle of the plague year of 2020. The Bowery Electric stage is a short runway projecting out onto the dance floor, and Goth Girl gets right up to the end of the runway, sticks her face right up into mine, only about 6 inches away, and sings heart-shaped bops from that stage's tiny runway and a solo serenade to me alone, all the while headbanging away in a perfectly choreographed synchronicity to my own headbanging moves. She was so close to my sweaty face, I was afraid for a while that there was going to be an inadvertent headbutt against each other, right smack in the middle of our ecstatic headbanging revelry. We were so close that my long, sweaty blonde locks were whipping her face, and her warrior princess braids were whipping mine. Goth Girl really had the moves. The song ends. The crowd goes fucking nuts. If you can define the dozen or so spectators present at the Bowery Electric that night as a crowd, and Big Mike retreats back to the hard wooden bench on the periphery of the dance floor in a panting, sweaty heat, from whence he had perched himself all evening long prior to that so ecstatic moment. Great big fat bearded long-haired old dude lumbers over and high-fives Big Mike, again in an Aussie accent. I told you, Jaguar Jones fucking rocks, didn't I, mate? He must have been Goth Girl's old well-intentioned Aussie dad. Weren't you worried about that whole social distancing thing, with her sticking her face right up into yours? Nah, like I said, my number's up anyways. That's it. It was the last weekend out in New York for anybody,
Whoa.
not just me, you know.
Whoa. Wow. Ah, it's crazy.